Gonna do some old school work. See, what I used to do is just press record with my little cell phone. Cell phone. And this morning, I have given up on Facebook. I have uninstalled Facebook. I have uninstalled Messenger. And suddenly my phone works again. Oh, AdSense is gone. Oh, my SD card is my SD card. There must be a virus on my SD card. Something. I don't know. But what happened was, wait, hold up. Funny story from the text messages from the wife. Hold up. So this person that owes my wife's boss, well, one of their clients, money, okay, called up there screaming at my wife. She said we can come get the money out of her ass. My wife's boss said, after my wife told him, so does that mean she's some sort of a prostitute and that's where she hides her money? It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. So, technologies. First thing I would like to do is review this cell phone. This is the, I don't even know what the hell it is. At the box somewhere. I forget. It's a LG is it an Optimus? This is a really good review, isn't it? I'm just one of them competent people who can say things quickly. Yeah. So, to find out which phone you have, you go into browser settings and about phone and phone identity. And what I have is the LG D520. And what it is, it's a slide phone. See? And what makes this the best slide phone ever is that it has arrow keys. See? Arrow keys. So when you have to edit text, which I don't do very often, let's face it, but I occasionally do, you know, type the wrong thing, copy the wrong thing, paste the wrong thing, that kind of thing, you know. Arrow keys. Instead of having to poke exactly where you want your shit, having to poke exactly in between the freaking letters so you can hit backspace. You wind up, what do you wind up doing? You wind up having to hit the whole letter, delete the whole thing, retype the whole thing. Not me, bitches, because I got arrow keys. Okay. But this video is starting to seem way too happy. I'm not happy with this phone. I like this phone, don't get me wrong. It's the best phone out there for me. For anybody with big hands who likes to have a keyboard to type with. What the hell is there black ink on my finger for? It's a good phone. I had to root it, and I had to uninstall a lot of the bloatware off of it, of course. Titanium backup, highly recommend that. Pay for the pro version, it's worth the $5. It stays with you. You can use it on multiple phones, I think. And it was all going well. Everything was going just fine. Until Android issued an update for my phone. And I just, you know, one morning, came in here, turned off my alarm clock, saw, oh, Android has updated the phone. Okay. Wonderful. Programmers hard at work making things work better, right? Oh, not so much. See, what happened was, back to the what happened was, suddenly, when I would hit Facebook, the screen would just go white and the phone would stop responding. Same thing with same thing with Facebook Messenger. This is really high definition. Holy crap. Okay. And, you know, Facebook, for some reason, decided that basically browser boosting, which is when you have, objects, usually program algorithms, but also images and stuff that take a lot of download, okay? You have a place on the local device, your computer or your cell phone, that these things get stored so that when you go to a web page, or in this instance use the Facebook app, you don't need to be using the internet for the stuff. Now, the reason why this is stupid, first of all, when I go on Facebook, I'm not looking for yesterday's news. I'm looking for, updates. There's, the scroll, the feed. It's supposed to be updated. It's kind of the whole point. And when I scroll down, at the bottom, guess what? Yesterday's news isn't still there. It's got to do what? It's got to refresh it. It's got to work, and it's got to download this shit. So who's bullshitting us? People misunderstand my purpose in having this channel. I don't want to convince anyone that I am who I say I am. I don't care. It's not in my interest. Doesn't matter to me. Not one bit. Okay? I'm looking at the camera so I can make sure that you know that I mean what I say. The whole reason I made this channel is for you. To give you a chance. To warn you that what's been going on is not acceptable. And I'm talking to everyone here, especially the people in high places, because I will make those high places low if you do not act on what I'm about to say. Technology is an abuse of this planet. And I'm not saying technology is bad. I love technology. I'm using quite a bit of it right now. Sony, LG, good companies. I got no problem with that. My problem is the basic moral commitment of humans to their fellow humans has been met with complete failure in the post-industrial society. And what I mean by this can be explained by considering one word. 2 words? No Spanish Inquisition. 1 word. Durability. Okay? The opposite being disposability. The reason why technology is failing humanity and going to destroy it. It's not because of some weird conspiracy. There's nobody on this planet who wants to destroy everyone at all, except for maybe Putin, who wants to kill everybody else just so they can have their own little paradise. Okay, nobody here, anyways. Nobody in Western society. Nobody that belongs among us anyways. The problem is simple greed. The problem is, see this phone right here? I got 2 more phones just like it. And I don't mean just like it, of course this one's better, right? But it's the same basic shape, same quantity of materials, same rarity of materials, same strip mining and everything had to be done, same oil had to be get out of the ground for the plastic, right? Now, I used to have a company called Get a Real Computer. And what I did is kind of what I do with cars now. Don't throw away your old computer. I can make it better. I can make it up to date and working normally. Now, the parts industry has given up on this concept over time. And now if you want a custom built computer, if you want an upgradable computer, you basically have to fork over enough cash to make it worthwhile. It has to be a gaming system. Otherwise, you're relying on individually available parts on sale, different supplies, different editions, and you can't reliably sell a cheap computer system that's built with custom built parts because there's so many disposable machines. Okay, people just buy a computer, they use it for a couple of years, they never train themselves on how to effectively use a computer, how to stay safe on the internet, so the computer gets clogged up with bullshit, spyware, viruses, until they do what? They throw it away. Same thing with cars. Cars get wrecked and pressed for scrap when they could be restored. We need to make cars, phones, computers, everything we make needs to have a commitment to durability, to upgradability. I drive a 1993 Honda Accord, okay? And I would not trade it for whatever the hell you drive, because that old car is upgradable. It's restorable, okay? It is a platform that can endure when maintained, okay? What am I supposed to do with this when it breaks? What am I supposed to do with this? What are you going to do with your Kia when it breaks? And a lot of the modern cars in general, what are you going to do with them when they break? What's all that plastic and shit going to do? What's going to happen to it? Some of the metal's going to get recycled. Okay? Most of the metal is going to get recycled. But you know what? Most of your car ain't metal. Well, most of the bulk materials, the interior, you know, the impact moldings, the bumpers, these are plastics. Your external front cover, your rear cover on your car, those are made of plastics, okay? This is oil, dug out of the ground, processed, and let's just say just the processing itself isn't exactly a clean process. But what I saw on the news yesterday morning or this morning, by 2050 there will be more volume of plastic than fish in the oceans. But you think this channel is about me trying to convince people I'm Jesus? Oh. That's just a fine example of how vain and ignorant people are. You don't even know what God is. You don't even know what religion is. People who speak about religion. Oh, religion's bad. Define religion. Can you? Can you even define what you claim to hate? Well, what it should be is a group of people who get together to better themselves. Oh, you mean like Freemasons? Oh, I'm not a Freemason, but I at least, understand that organized groups of people trying to affect morality for a mutual cause that's a religion. You know what? Technically, Americanism is a religion. Patriotism is a religion. The existence of a nation state that is by the people and for the people is a religion. Freemasonry is a religion, just like Catholicism is a religion. Christianity, not a religion. Islam, that's a religion. That is a organized social hierarchy, a system of laws, okay? Old Testament law, that's a religion, okay? Christianity is not a religion. Christianity can be co-opted by religions. A religion can claim to have Christian values, just like a nation can claim to have Christian values. But when a religion says that you're not supposed to have a rabbi or a father who is on this earth, for you only have one Father, who is your heavenly Father. And when it says, render unto Caesar's what's Caesar's, don't have a religious reason for not paying your taxes. And the argument, if logically put, should be made that really what Jesus did was anti-religious. Okay, because what you think of, what people who bash religion think of when they think of as organized religion is the money changers. Okay? But you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to be like Jesus, but hate religion and lump Christianity in together with those religions. Well, guess what? It's because of people like you that nobody gives a fuck in general anymore. Okay? And it's because of misrepresentation of Christianity that the world is falling apart. Now, I could be here doing magic tricks and proving to everybody who I am. But who would listen? Why would I want a circus act? Why would I expect anyone to really get quality in their spirit because they saw a magic trick? What I'm doing here is I'm reaching out to the few people who have been guided to me spiritually. Okay? These are people that I've chosen, that I've touched in their dreams, in their consciousness, and they have come to learn from me what the hell is going on here. Okay? And to give one last voice of reason, one last chance for people to I'm not saying earn your salvation, oh, believe in me and you get to go to heaven, that kind of thing. I'm not a simpleton. Okay? What you've been taught were metaphors. These things are literally true in my case. Okay, and that's pretty much how it's obvious that you know that I'm me. Okay? Because I can quote things that you've been taught were metaphors, and they bear direct relevance to the truth that I have revealed on this little channel here. Now, that being said, the reason why I must be so terribly informative on this channel is because I don't like excuses. Okay? I just don't like excuses. I don't like leaving people with excuses. I don't like giving people ways to get out of responsibility. Okay? And I want people to know that the truth is the only way to save the world. Deception is what's destroying it. Okay? Deception about Christianity in particular has completely and utterly doomed humanity. And I don't need anyone to know this face and this YouTube channel to get to know what Christianity is supposed to be. There was this book, you might have heard of it, it's called the Bible. And every time I see, from a senseless murder to a road rage incident to the latest statement from Donald Trump, all I can think, and this is kind of the vibe that I want people to try to spread, okay? And I want you to try to figure out how, if the truth of Christianity was preserved, these things might have been prevented. How the lack of preservation of true Christian knowledge is what caused them. Oh, you mean if everybody was being real Christians, they would all just be good people and everybody would get along and the world would be fixed? Oh yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That is exactly the case. And there is no other form of philosophy that can let everybody else have their cake and eat it too, okay? And it's not a religion. It's not a religion, okay? It's just the fact that God exists and he's not an asshole. Okay? Oh, well, what do you mean by that, Sean? Oh, listen, I'll teach you, baby birds. You see, what you have is simply monotheism extrapolated scientifically. If you were to extrapolate scientifically the concept of God's existence on the presumptionary hypothesis that God did in fact exist, what you would come up with is in fact Christianity. And I don't mean starting from the Old Testament and coming, you know, the apple in the Garden of Eden. You don't need all that, okay? These are interesting stories that have a lot of meaning, okay? But it's not about religion, because it's not a bunch of people who got a idea together and decided to put those ideas forward. It's not a group of people trying to better themselves and making it up as they go along. It was a group of people who met God. They met this guy. Probably had some really fierce-looking eyes. His skin occasionally glowed. You know, that kind of thing. Wonder if you know anybody like that. And see, what had happened was, this guy with the fierce eyes, called the Angel of the Lord, he wound up trying to teach him. Because some shit needed to be taught. You see what was going on in the time? Was basically fucking monsters. Okay? There were feudal houses with breeding programs set up. Okay? And the laws of genetics were not nearly as well defined as they are today. And there was this one guy who was an incarnation of Gabriel, actually. And he had no memories, okay? And he found himself praying, okay? And it was all meant to be. See, that's another thing why people, how can God say that everybody's created equally if there's people like Abraham who are like, and Moses who are like, you know, these big magnificent people who nobody else can live up to the standards of. Well, what if they were just ancient deities who are reincarnated so that all of the actual children with free will could actually be equal? That's, you know, and the same thing kind of works in reverse. You have to sell your soul to be famous. Or, of course, you have to be working directly for God's will. Like Barack Obama. You see what's going on in the world right now. A lot of people want to say World War III is about to happen, World War III is coming, World War III just started. You're all wrong. Okay. There is a world war. One world war. Never stopped. There were no permanent peace treaties. Never stopped. It just never stopped. It's been one continuous world war. And we separate it because we need names for things. Okay? And we have this point where we all decided to kid ourselves, and we have, you know, 30, 20, and then we had late 40s, okay? And then we had the early 90s. These are just points with which we decided to kid ourselves and decided that we were safe and we were going to just pretend everything's okay. And I'm not one of these doomsayers who thinks that America's going to be destroyed and that, you know, free people are being targeted by an elite conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. See, I don't have any reason to doubt America militarily. I'm here. You know? But, see, one of the things that kind of pisses me off is that nobody takes what Barack Obama has done and actually thinks about it as a Christian. No, I'm not saying nobody. The people who are the most vocal representation of conservatism who, again, people who think they are anti-religious and want to bash Christianity, you're accepting a straw man argument that these people are Christians. They're not Christians. So you're being set up and you're falling for a satanic trap. Okay? All strongman arguments usually lead to a satanic trap, don't they? If they're not Christians, then you shouldn't be bashing Christianity because of what they're doing. Don't just say you're a Christian because you call yourself a Christian. Okay? Just like somebody who doesn't believe in Sharia law isn't really a Muslim. Well, somebody who believes in Sharia law is not a Christian. So if you believe in, homophobia and the right of your people over other people, that's a religion. Not a good one either. Now, well, let's compare, say, a religion like Islam to a religion like Freemasonry. See, one is a totalitarian theocracy, okay? And the other is actually a secret society built around preventing totalitarian theocracies, okay? But it is actually an opposing force to the Illuminati, okay? The Illuminati is an anti-religious force, okay? They are Satanists, okay? And that's what an atheist really is someone who's anti-God, okay? It's a Satanist. You can't deny creation and still have love in you. You can't think that the world came from chaos and expect anything better of yourselves. And that's the thing. So you have a bunch of religions that want to put one person, one race, one group of people above other people. Okay. And you have a couple of religions that are simply not practical in modern society. Okay. That are not conducive to technology at all. Okay. But there's one religion you can have your computers and your cars, and you can accept the blessings of this planet without taking them for granted, without abusing them. There's one faith, there's one religion, there's one system of beliefs that works for this. It's Christianity. Now, one thing I do like to take pride in is how trolled I am as a spiritual leader. Okay, see, 2,000 years ago, immediately after I left, the Antichrists came. The false prophets came. And where my family had not traveled much over the past, 20 years before, this guy named Cephas, Kaifa, the Rock, and another guy named Saul, okay, who's Paul. These were reincarnated ancients. One was pride and one was deceit. And they were given the charge of the two false witnesses. Okay? And, Is there an easy way to tell the difference between true witnesses and false witnesses? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do they represent the God of love? Or do they represent the God of control and domineering? And you can find that these days. You can use that insight to spot any false prophet, any false teacher. Anyone who is obsessed with what you've done wrong or what you shouldn't be doing, okay, and isn't concerned themselves of what they can do for other people, that's not a Christian. That's a false prophet. Yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. My wife said it had been a while since I just hit record and started ranting about whatever the hell was on my mind, so that's what I've done here. Hope you enjoyed it. I do see that since 2016 started, and I made the mistake of actually raising a question about why ad revenue is plummeting. Suddenly my views have also plummeted. And I just want to reiterate the purpose of this channel. For those who think they can walk all over people and get away with it, my message is, what would you do if one day you accidentally stepped on the Creator's toes? What would you do if that person who you passed by on the street and was hungry and you didn't feed them? What would you do if that person was the judge of your soul? This is why in many respects Hinduism, and I'm not talking about the New Age over religiosity version of Hinduism, I'm talking about pure Hinduism, can lead to a much more peaceful society than false religion has. Just one little concept in Hinduism. It's that everybody's got a little bit of God in them, so that anytime you're being mean to someone, anytime you're doing something unjust to someone, you're doing something unjustly to God. And I think that's a good concept for people to keep in their minds. Because, you know, you could just be on the internet browsing for people to make fun of. You could just be doing your job and making sure nobody says anything bad about a company that was founded in America. Yeah, free speech and whatnot, fuck all that, right? But, you know, the person you might be doing these things to, what would you think if they happen to be the person who decides the fate of your soul? What would you do to you if you were me, or if you were that person? Just Think of the magnitude of it. First of all, I'm willing to come down here and endure all this bullshit. But second of all, just the irony that people have become so ignorant that for the past 2,400 years, it's been a lot more than 2,000, for the past 2,400 years, anyone who actually tries to unite people, tries to stand up for the truth, anyone who stands up against oppression, well, they get targeted. They get crucified. Now, if you're someone who thinks that I'm just some crazy guy who's pretending or whatever, I just want you to ask yourself, all those expectations you have of me that this little lump of flesh doesn't meet, are they logically consistent with somebody who would be murdered by the state that they lived in? So the people that are obsessed with rejecting me, I guess it is, or obsessed with, I don't know, making fun of me or trying to rationalize away the things that I say, just remember that you're one of the people who would tell me to miracle my ass right off that cross. Okay? And, well, this goes back to your presumptions based on vanity. Why everything you expect is ignorant. First of all, to think that I would have wanted to come down off the cross. You're presuming that I'm just a selfish, shitty person. Okay, I had a job to do. The whole concept of why wouldn't he, could he, or couldn't he, is irrelevant. Because by making that very argument, you're just saying, hey, look at me. My soul is basically hollow. And I cannot understand the concept that being created in God's image, see this cigarette? This cigarette was created in this cigarette's image. Okay? Oh, and you notice something about them? Is one glowing and shiny and magical, and the other isn't? No. They're the same. And guess what? You and me. Basically the same. I'm a bit older. A bit wiser. Sometimes. But, to make up for that fact, I purposely delete my memories. Okay? There are things that I do that are just downright masochistic. Just because I love you guys. Like, for instance, making a fool of myself on YouTube. Just because I know that the elect, the few, the chosen, they sense the matrix. You know? They sense the wrongness of everything. And, you know, as a human, before I reawoken. This is where I came to see, you know, it's the most diverse place of independent views and documentaries and stuff like that you can find, okay? And I come on here just doing research. And after I woke up, I especially came on here trying to find out if anybody had thought of these alternate theories, these alternate ideas that were suddenly the foundation of like the core of my being after I woke up. I mean, literally half the crap that I was sure of, just, no, you're just being a stupid little naive human. Time to wake up. I mean, it was quite bizarre. I felt disoriented, both mentally and physically. I mean, like, disoriented mentally, I can't even explain it. Like, imagine you just woke up one day and your name was Bob and you were a different fucking person. But you could remember Steve or whoever the fuck you used to be. Joe. Jim. Let's go with Jim. Okay? So, you're Bob now. But you remember being Jim. You're not sure why Jim made some of those decisions that Jim made. But Jim was an okay guy. You know, he was alright. I don't completely separate myself, but I really do feel separated from, like, the person that my siblings grew up with, the person that my parents raised. Like, in an instant, my parents seemed like children to me. Everybody seemed like children to me. And, you know, for a while, a lot of the expectations that people would have of me did manifest. But it's like this. For me to exist in that state, humanity would have had to have already redeemed itself. Because me existing in that state can provide no redemption. It can't establish a pure faith. It can't establish Christianity. It can establish a religion. Okay? This idea that people have of every knee shall bow, every tongue confess. That happened 2,000 years ago. And all of reality had to be rebuilt because of it. Yeah, you think this is just the same world. It's just, oh, because you learned that in school. And that's very understandable. I made all things new. Even dinosaur bones. The entire world, everything, the fabric of reality itself, the laws, everything, completely changed 2,000 years ago. And what has to be done is mankind needs to pull himself up by his own bootstraps and realize that God never failed you. You failed him. Christianity. If you used to be a Christian, if your parents are Christians and you don't call yourself a Christian, Christianity never failed you. You failed Christianity. The world but your soul had already been purchased and set free. Now you're in slavery. Now you're in bondage. Now there is purchase in your house. And if anyone is purchased, if anyone is sold on the idea of and buys into the world for the world's sake, well, that means your soul was sold, doesn't it? But, you know, the laws of reality being malleable and whatnot, you could always ask for a refund. Why not? So you forget, God's merciful and not religious and not a fan of dogma. Anything that condemns somebody for one mistake, it's not Christian. Things that condemn an entire way of being for its self-destruction, that's Christian. It's not a matter of one man's opinion. It's a matter of what your parents want from you because they love you. And that's it. And I guess I'm going to stop the video now. Because I probably already said everything I tried to say like at least 3 fucking times. Because I'm just babbling. Yeah. But anyways. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to go get some sleep. The whole world is kind of really worrying me and stressing me out right now. It's just wearing me out. Just the idea that it's so hard to get a message out these days. Like, you'd think this type of technology would make it easier. Now, see, I take my cake for what it is, though. You got one quiet voice. I mean, I yell sometimes, I guess. Not always that quiet. But let's, just taking the metaphor into reality. One quiet voice versus all the other loud, logical ones. All the ones trying to sell you on your fear of the world. Trying to sell you on your fear of man. Trying to sell you on things that they think will work now. Because they used to try to sell you the fear of God. Well, the reason why you should like this video and the reason why you should subscribe, or subscribe to my channel, whichever you prefer, is because I'm not teaching anybody that God is something to fear. Your decisions, your choices, your mistakes, your ignorance and lack of Christian values is something to fear because it will lead to your own destruction and the destruction of this entire civilization. But what I teach about on this channel is that religions mostly have it wrong about God. God doesn't want you to fear them. Him, her, it, us. Words. God doesn't want you to fear stuttering either. He thinks it's hilarious. Yeah. God wants you to know how much you are loved, and in knowing that love, to return it. And I don't mean like, oh, a happy thought and you can fly. I mean, love is a verb. If you love God, if you love life, if you love creation, if you are thankful and not prideful, then you should act on that love. You should try to spread the truth to other people. And, you know, I'm trying. See this weird swollen part of my wrist right here. It's a little bit better, but it's kind of slow going. I'm trying to make some documentaries that are like shareable, that people who like my message but wish I was more congenial, I guess, could post and share and whatnot. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, I'll get it done eventually. Got a fancy new camera. You'd think it'd be easier. Got a new computer. You'd think that would help too. The way I have my computer set up is at a dresser that sits about yay tall when I'm sitting at it, and my wrist has to go up on there to get the mouse like this, and I can't really stay at it for that long. But, you know, this leads me back to my point. I'm not here to impress anybody. God doesn't want me to impress anybody. I shouldn't have to. But I'm going to try to do it anyways because I love you guys. And I'm really tired of watching you destroy yourselves. That's all. Thanks, Barry, for the Anderson Cooper interview on my birthday. There's just too many birthday presents to keep track of this year. But with all the crap that's going wrong in the world, I kind of needed it just to give me faith in myself. So, a lot of weird, random, borderline miraculous circumstances happening on my birthday. Very much a welcome development. Because anybody who knows me knows this thing about a cup. And this cup, this was a metaphorical cup. And I didn't want to have to drink from it, I guess was the metaphor. That was fair. I'm not doing this because I want to. You know, I'm doing this because I have to. And if there was somebody else better for the job, I'd hire them. I'd endorse them, whatever, you know. That's it. I'm done, I guess. Again, for real this time. Yeah. If you don't understand what the hell I just said, back it up and try to figure it out. I don't know. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Peace.